me that.
No, the staff picked me. I finally know who I really am. I've got a costume and everything.
I'm trying to protect you.
Wow, when it came to realism in this show. Aloha! Welcome to Cyntillating Reviews, where we will be reviewing episode 4 of the hit DC Universe original, Stargirl. This episode did show a little bit of realism to what would happen to our world, comparing also to what would happen in the DC Universe world as well. Now, I'm not saying the entire episode is like that, but only bits and pieces of this episode. It's kind of hard to spill your heart out into one certain character, and I will get to that point later. This video will be in a style of a podcast, so if you want to minimize my videos while doing something else while having me play in the background, that is totally fine. I won't be offended. Spoiler alert is now in effect. This episode starts where we go back 3 months in the past where we see Yolanda. This gives us a little bit of a background history origin with Yolanda, the girl who was teased and, quote, slut-shamed by the other students, and Courtney was the only one that was standing up to her. First impression of Yolanda is that she kind of reminds me of myself with her little cute, quirky self, where no matter what she does, she's got family that loves her and will support her. We see her at school where she is doing the final runs and the final preparations of running for class president. She's at home doing her homework where she gets a text message from Henry Jr., who was her boyfriend at the time. And seeing those text messages, he is asking her to do something that is a little R-rated, and she did it, and she was doing something she obviously should not have done. She sends a nude picture of herself and sends it to her boyfriend. The next day comes where school resumes as normal. Yolanda wins class president, but all the students receive a text that includes an attachment of the picture that Yolanda sent to Henry Jr. The person behind all of this, Cindy, who is jealous of Yolanda's win of the election. I just hate that girl with a passion. Is that wrong for me to say? We move to present day now, where Courtney is looking at the items and the masks that she picked up from the JSA. Courtney goes through the Blue Valley class yearbook, which, how did she get that yearbook? Was she just transferred to this school? Courtney sees the first student that she is attempting to recruit as her partners. I just love how Courtney says she has tons of friends, and her mom says, "You'll make new friends." I just found that funny, and I really like that, as that was a similar tune to me when I moved to a different school district. At school, Courtney looks through her yearbook and she sees a picture of Yolanda wearing a boxing glove. Yolanda bumps into Henry as an accident, but no words are exchanged. Cindy, the girl who lost the election, asks Henry what did she say. Henry is obviously very frustrated with her, plus in addition, he's still concerned about his father, Henry, who is brainwave, still in the coma. Cindy starts putting down Yolanda, but Courtney walks in defending her. Cindy gives her a threat to Courtney as Cindy and her friend, who is what I like to call a long teeny-weeny leech follower. I don't know what the actual term is, it's just something I like to use, but I keep that to myself though. We move to the junkyard now, where we see Pat asking the mechanic about an exhaust pipe part. Pat meets with Denise, the woman who lost Joey and William while he fixes her truck. In the basement of the American Dream, we see Jordan, or Icicle, and he meets up with Dr. Ito, who has an unusual look in his design and said, quote, "I'll never betray you, unlike Shade," end quote. He tells Jordan about working on his daughter, which I guess we'll get to later. I don't really know what that is about. And Jordan states that he needs Dr. Ito to help build this machine, the Project American Dream. We end the scene where Dr. Ito is asking for the wizard's body. I don't know why he's asking for his body, but we'll get more on that later. Back at the school, we see Courtney go to the school gym where she sees Yolanda letting out some steam with the boxing gloves and a punching bag. I think she should have also added a picture of Cindy on that bag too, but school rules, blah 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 blah. Anywho though, Courtney and Yolanda have a back and forth discussion that Courtney needs help in Blue Valley. Courtney is asking Yolanda to come over to her house, promising that she will tell her everything. In Yolanda's home, the house isn't so bright and cheery as we see in the first few minutes. Boy, with that kind of greeting, I take back everything I say. At least my mom wants to hug me every time I come home. I go, ugh, all the time, but I still let her do it. The family feels like Yolanda brought shame on the family for what she has done. Before Yolanda heads upstairs, Yolanda explains that she got invited over to a friend's house, but got shot down. The next day, Courtney and Yolanda meet again, and before Yolanda trains, Courtney admits that she was the one that blew up Henry Jr.'s car. The talk between her and Yolanda became so emotional, it's so hard to take the scene without pouring your heart out for Yolanda. It's hard to see how such an innocent girl like her could get her life destroyed. It's also hard to accept that even though this is on a TV show, the sad thing about this is how this can actually happen in real life too. Even denial from the family that acts like their child doesn't exist because of a mistake, that happens too. I'm glad I've never had that feeling of denial, but unfortunately one of my closest friends had, and I feel for them. It just makes me think about how something terrible like this can happen in our world, and it just destroys their life. Yolanda admits to Courtney that she hates Henry King. Back at the pit, Denise returns to Pat and sees that she has all of her belongings. She tells Pat to not trust the town, as she figured out her late husband William did not have a heart attack. He just went to the doctors and he came out healthy. In the front passenger seat is a box of her son's belongings, showing a cape, a top hat, and a wand. She said Joey always wanted to be like his dad. Pat questions that sentence because his father was a councilman. Denise leaves in a hurry, leaving Pat behind. This brings me the oh moment, as William's secret really wasn't a secret to his wife Denise and his son Joey. It didn't click in my head until that one moment. William was the wizard and Joey was a magician. Joey wanted to be like his dad, who was the wizard from the IJA. Returning home, Courtney shows Yolanda how does she convince her mom to let her go if she's grounded forever. I love how Courtney scolds the cosmic staff on how it's like it doesn't want to be seen or used anymore, and she's like, don't make me put you back in that crate. Courtney tells Yolanda that she is the daughter of Starman. The best response from Yolanda? Who? I feel like that is a copy of the Guardians of the Galaxy where Peter Quill says as he's Star-Lord and his enemy's like, who? In Courtney's room, she dresses as Stargirl, where we get the reveal of Yolanda and her persona of Wildcat. I love this scene. This is what I was talking about during my earlier podcast, wishing for a training segment. Instead of Stargirl and Stripe/Pat, whatever, we get Stargirl and Wildcat. And I thought it was great where Courtney literally brought up Wikipedia to find out about Wildcat's power. And when I mean the cosmic staff is alive, you can literally hear him say, wow. Then the next scene, you want me to jump off a building? The two girls sit outside of the hospital and sees Henry Jr. walk in. This is where Courtney tells Yolanda about Brainwave. While they are superheroes, I love how they can still interact as teenagers. Yolanda climbs on the side of the building to the 7th floor. The cosmic staff goes completely insane, making a mess in the utility room, given a distraction to take the night nurse away from the desk so Wildcat can view the visitor log. Yolanda sneaks away, entering the room where Henry is. Wildcat is ready to strike Henry Jr. for what he's done, but Wildcat, realizing that is not the right thing to do, she backs away. The principal, of all people, the principal walks in with a violin in hand and starts playing to the coma-based Henry. With a quick performance, she puts her violin away and walks out of the room. Unknowingly to them, someone catches the two leaving the room climbing up. It's Beth, aka possible future Dr. Midnight. The girls go back to Courtney's room and review the visitor's log. Yolanda admits to Courtney that she can't be Wildcat as she needs to get her own life back before she does anything else. But the two do end up still being friends, as that is what I appreciate from this scene. Yolanda returns back home. Her parents freak out that she was outside. She apologizes for what she did was wrong and tells the family that she isn't going to apologize for something that happened months ago. Her family is not taking her apologies, which is so wrong. I mean, everyone makes a big mistake, but this has gone too long. 3 months, if the timeline is correct. Poor Yolanda is made to feel like a prisoner in her own home. Returning back to her room, she sees her window is open with Wildcat's uniform and mask with a note from Courtney telling her that she can't do this without her. Not only is Wildcat a sidekick, a partner, but also as Yolanda Montez, as a friend. Yolanda returns back to Courtney, suited and uniformed up, that she is ready to take on her new role as Wildcat. We end this episode where Pat returns to Zeke, the mechanic, asking for construction parts. Pat heads to find the parts, but runs into a black cat. A familiar black cat. When Pat notices the cat, a suspicion feeling runs down his body. He observes a vehicle sitting in the junkyard with all of the belongings gone, windows broke in, the vehicle that belonged to Denise, who was wanting to leave town. All that's left in the vehicle is the top hat that belonged to her son. This is where this episode ends. Now, this episode is much better compared to last episode. Although it's still quite into the emotional run, we still have the feel of where finally we're going to do something now. Finally, we're going to make a plan. And the recruitment of Wildcat. Now we have a new character with a new origin and background story. So hopefully next week when we see Beth, I would like to see Beth kind of freak out on Yolanda saying, what exactly were you doing? How are you able to do that? But before Yolanda can answer, she's going to say, what you did was pretty cool. I want to do that too. And it's Beth's parents that kind of brought the idea up to Beth that she needs to make friends and hang out with friends rather than taking care and wanting to be with her parents the entire time. If I have to give this episode a rating, I think this episode was much better compared to last week because that was an emotional train track that we were on, but it's still not in the high pour as episode 1. So I would say this episode would maybe rank an 8 out of 10. And I want to know a little bit more about Dr. Ito. Looking at his character design, that is an unusual character design. I would like to see what kind of powers he has and why he's so interested on wanting William's body. Exactly what is it that he's going to do with his body? Well, we don't know. We won't know until, of course, again, later in the season. But thank you guys so much for stopping in and listening to my review of Stargirl Episode 4. Subscribe to my channel, help Cyntillating reviews grow. Like, comment if you have any questions or theories on what's going to happen in the next week's episode. I have a bell now, so if you're interested in the Stargirl videos podcast, be sure to hit that bell to be notified for personal videos or all of my videos if you're interested in all of my content. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week for the new episode of Stargirl. Thanks for watching Let's Review with Cyntillating Reviews. If you want to read the full article of the review, click on the link down below. And we also have a Facebook, Twitter, and follow me on Instagram at CEMadison. Our simplest prevention is our biggest protection. Take care of yourselves and others as you practice social distancing, washing hands, and staying at home. Let's get better by starting to make our world better to reduce the spread of COVID-19. See you later on another day.